everyone, I'm Zenith Warrior Princess, the cutest of buns, and welcome back once again to Diving Into DuckTales, although this is my first episode in a very long time because we were returning to the old school format of the show. Joining me once again is Kat Macberrie.
You're the worst. You're the worst. Welcome back. Nice of you to join us.
Listen, I cannot join you halfway around the world all the time. I'm sorry.
You're lying!
What I will say is that I have enjoyed watching your reactions. Your reactions are a lot of fun. But before we get into that, Dougie Fresh, how's it going?
You're the worst. You're the worst. We hate you now.
But I didn't do anything.
You're the worst. You're the worst.
And of course, as per the new live reactions, how's it going, Eric?
It's going good. Damn it, Doug, you took my thing. The we hate you now. How dare you? What am I supposed to say? Oh, whatever.
You can
give in to your inner heel.
Give in to your inner heel. So before we get into all of this, yes, this is the first time I'm back since the show went to the reactionary format. As per usual, I can't keep up with all the episodes anymore. It's just too much, especially with my health and monitoring the show. But I am happy to be here for the mid-season recaps, where we discuss the episodes and as we go along. So we have a full crew today.
I know, this is amazing. First time in a while I think we've ever... Actually, the first time ever I think it's been the four of us.
Mm-hmm.
I think we might have had one or two Disney debate episodes, but definitely the first time I'm diving into DuckTales. Mm-hmm. And so yeah, like this is great. First thing I need to get out before we go in. So I have been informed that all of the episodes except for the season 3 episodes are available on Disney Plus, and Disney Plus has placed them in the proper order, because you may not remember this because this was earlier on, I think, season 1 we discussed this, but they aired episodes out of order. They have finally put them back in the proper order, and so yay.
But did they though? Because from my recollection, like they, for the most part, they had them in order, but I could have swore like I think it was like the season premiere how like the pilot was like the 2 episodes like back to back, but for some reason they kind of put Woohoo out of place. I don't know if I haven't checked Disney Plus lately, but I feel like I don't know if they corrected that, because like Woohoo and the Spear of Selene episode, those were supposed to be 2 back to back as for the premiere, but for some reason Woohoo is like 4th episode down. This keep in mind, this was when Disney Plus first launched, so I don't know if they've corrected that since then.
I believe this happened last week.
Okay.
From what I've heard, because this is just secondhand from the Lewis Discord, so people are just like, oh, they finally fix it. It was about last week or so. So I'm not 100% sure, but according to this bit of research that my friend did, everything's back in the proper order, so that's good.
Well, considering they don't have to release it around holidays, which is why they were premiered out of order to begin with, they have no reason but to put them in airing order on Disney Plus as it should be. Now, if only other shows would do the same thing, because I know for a fact some of them have episodes out of order.
Mm-hmm. With that being said, we have 7 episodes to dive into today. For my reactions to them, you've all, heard their thoughts and their discussions and their Q&A. But I'm going to delve into my thoughts on these 7 episodes. So let me just pull up the list of the episodes because I can't remember the titles off the top of my head, and then we will get started. So first of all, we're going to be talking about Season 3, Episode 1, Challenge of the Senior Junior Woodchuck. I really like this episode. In general, I do think that these first 7 episodes are probably the best start in the 3 seasons, because while Season 1 had a great start, it kind of had like a meandering middle, and Season 2 had an interesting start, but not the best. Like this to me, for all of the seasons so far, is the best of the 3. What do you think, Kat?
In terms of a start, definitely more action-packed than the others, aside from, Woohoo, obviously. But yeah, it was like a good start because we know that this is supposed to kickstart Huey's arc for this season, and it did start things off well by showing that, he didn't get promoted to the level that he's been supposedly training for his whole life, and he lost it to like a friend as well. So, and on top of that, it also sets up what the plot for the season's going to be with the whole treasure hunt, and what Fowl's intention behind it is. So yeah, definitely a good start for this season.
I also think it's probably the funniest pilot of the season so far, because there were some moments I burst out laughing, like the book on fire just got me, like...
Why are you imagining this?
I don't know.
To be fair, though, he does have poor imagination, as it was established last season. So.
Why, Huey? Why?
Why, Huey? Why? I like this episode. There are some minor details that I think were great. I was spoiled on Lena being adopted and Vi having 2 dads, but I'm okay with that because this is a great development.
Mhm. Yeah, and I love Lena's reference to him. He's like my sister from a couple misters. Also, I found a little tidbit about this episode. Apparently, they were supposed to introduce Goslin in this episode, but I guess they didn't want to distract from the plot. So I'm wondering if maybe she's going to show up in the Junior Woodchucks later on. It's possible.
It's possible. I like that Violet is in the Junior Woodchucks. I really like that her playful banter, her trying to playfully banter against Huey was just ridiculous and fun. It's like, is my smack talk smack enough yet? Like,
curse my flawless slams.
Although I do have to say, the amount of danger for this challenge is a little bit too much. Lava against, which is ridiculous and fun. It's like, it's my smack talk smack.
Oh, you sure you didn't have to do that in Boy Scouts?
I'm an Eagle Scout, and in my tests, we've done some things. We've had to, to do tracking and wilderness survival. Some of this fits, but as soon as they got to the lava and the secret, like, underground thing, no.
No.
This is a troop with money.
So yeah, I really like this episode. I think it's funny. I think it advances several characters like Violet and Huey. They have very good character development. I really enjoyed the humor that they brought with it. I thought the stuff with Scrooge, was actually really well handled, and how he was actually wrong for this one, and being silly actually helped in the end. There were some really cool things, and the foul teaser in the beginning, I did not see that coming, but it is really well done.
I just love you spend the whole episode with Donald being mercilessly attacked by a mosquito, and it turns out like, oh no, it was evil all along.
Eric, what are your thoughts? Do you think this is a good episode?
I think this is a good episode that's setting up for the rest of the season, because I said this in the initial reaction for this episode, was that we knew that this was going to be like a Huey arc for this season, because season 1 was Dewey, season 2 we had Louie, and it only makes sense that for season 3 that we were going to have a Huey arc. And so this episode kind of sets up some things for that, about him, of him going on an adventure and like trying to be like, I think he's trying to like just trying to be better for himself. But I mean, but as we get with the later episodes, I mean, they still touch upon it, but not too much, because there's like a bunch of other characters that are also getting some that are getting some development as well, and we'll get to that later. But I like it how it's setting up Huey. It's setting up Huey for the rest of his character arc for the season, and it's also setting up Fowl because of that, because it sets up for that scavenger hunt that they're going to be doing now.
Mm-hmm. I think it's just a good character piece. Like it does set up plot, but as an individual character episode, it's a lot of fun. It's entertaining, great humor. Does anyone else have anything to add before I move on?
I mean, it does say something for Scrooge, in that it's like, you think, oh, he's adversed in adventure, so he'd know, not to overlook anything. And even you see here, he has to kind of learn that lesson. So it's definitely interesting in that aspect, like how he has to finally realize that, oh, maybe this bird is telling me something.
Yeah, I mean, I can kind of see it from his perspective, like the bird's silly and they're on a quest already. But like, him learning to think outside the box is something that I enjoed.
Mm-hmm.
Next.
Sorry.
God damn it. The next episode is probably one of my favorite episodes of the season. Not my overall favorite. We'll get to that, but Quack Pack is amazing. Quack Pack is one of those episodes where they just had fun with it, especially because like the title of the episode is a reference to a show that nobody talks about, because we don't want to we don't want to relive those 90s memories.
Yeah.
It's bad.
We don't talk about Quack Pack.
It's really bad.
Quackaroony.
It was the epitome of like the 90s with the like, oh, let's age up the characters and make them cool and show them doing cool things. It's like that was his whole shtick, so it's no wonder that people only remember it for like the title alone.
But I like the direction that the episode goes with. Yes, they copy the Quack Pack title in name only, but in the beginning of the episode, everybody is dressed in the original DuckTales uniforms, and
well, at least Scrooge and Beakley and Donald.
Yes.
Yeah, and I guess Launchpad.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I love that throwback. But then within like the first 5 minutes, all of a sudden you hear like the audience laughing, like there's a laugh track, and I'm like, wait a minute, where are they going with it? I'm like, wait a minute, they have to be trapped in there somehow. Like they have to be, like this has to be like some sort of elaborate like trap or whatever, because like it reminds me of that episode of Doctor Who where like the Doctor and Rose, like they're trapped in like a TV thing, like
Satellite
the Doctor
5.
is in like the Doctor's in Big Brother, and like Rose is in like Weakest Link, and they're trapped in there, and we don't know how they got in there, like they're part of something or whatever. So that's like I immediately know where they were going with this.
Yeah, like it's one of those episodes that from the very beginning you notice something's off, and then it keeps going and going and builds, and it just goes off the rails. It makes fun of 90s sitcoms. It makes fun of the show from the past. They bring back Jin from the actual like Treasure of the Lost Lamp character, which I didn't think they would ever bring him back outside
How many
of
lamps did that guy have?
Well, it's possible that like the other one was like a descendant of him or something like that. There's some really good lamp shading here. But it's a crazy episode. The jokes are fantastic. I love the fourth wall joke where they look at the audience. It's like, have you ever noticed that that nobody ever looks at the fourth wall? And I'm like,
That's gotta be like the scariest portrayal of humans I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I mean, they just went balls to the wall on that one.
Yeah.
That was before
and
Owl
Goofy,
House.
and Goofy's back, and he's not part of the wish. Goofy's actually like there, and there's some really interesting things in this episode. I think this is one of my favorites simply because of the jokes and the setup and the concept and what they do with it, because like they keep quick cutting to several places, and like they have to do the that 70s show montage to get anything done.
Yeah, pretty much.
Quick,
But,
stroke your chins and reminisce back.
Ah, what's going
It's
on?
working. It's working. Reminisce harder.
What's going? Reminisce harder. It's one of those shows. Not one of those shows. It's one of those episodes that just. It's super funny. It probably, like, you can place it anywhere in the season and it wouldn't be too it wouldn't feel out of place. But it's so enjoyable. I love how it pokes fun at so many different things. The Pep commercial was amazing.
You gotta get that advertising in there somehow.
They gotta get their corporate sponsors in.
Yep.
And they brought back Ottoman Empire. Thank you.
I like they're like those little ads you see at the bottom of the screen, like what they do on the Fox channel.
Yes.
Yep.
I just keep thinking back to like that skit on Family Guy where they're like, oh, I'm sorry, is my TV show interrupting your ad? Please, by all means, show your cliched little ads there. Oh, let's see. Let's see. Here we'll have two friends who, are roommates, but they don't get along, standing back to back. Okay, and now we have slowly rotating black guy. Okay.
Next we
also
have
thinking
shoving
of-
buddies.
I'm also thinking of the Simpsons Treehouse of Horror opening where they have that too, and then like Marge basically like kills every single one of them and bakes them into a pie.
Yeah, those ads are annoying, and I'm glad that they like did something with that in there.
This is just a good episode. I don't think it's necessarily the most plot-heavy episode, because the only thing that really brings to the table is that the genie from the lamp is there, and they reintroduce that, and there's the bookend. But this is just like people having fun with the concept, and I fully enjoyed that. Does anyone else have anything to add to that?
I like that we got two Sonics in this episode.
Oh my god, yes.
Yeah, because we got Jaleel White, the old school Sonic, and then Ben Schwartz, the new Sonic, and it's a '90s icon, so it fits so perfectly.
And both of them go fast.
They do go fast.
Gotta go fast. I also love how Goofy references Max and even shows like sort of like alludes to the Goofy movie with him showing him with Roxanne and everything. Like that was adorable.
Yeah, that's really great. And I mean, we already know Powerline is canon in this universe, so it's a thing. And it's really sweet. Maybe we'll get an explanation for what happened in between this and an extremely Goofy movie, or bring back his girlfriend from that movie. But
And there's also the opportunity that they used the opportunity to bring in Don Cheadle again.
Yes.
Don Cheadle.
Yep.
Don Cheadle. And hearing Donald speak in that voice is always the craziest damn thing. And I love that this was just Donald's wish. He just wants to be normal for 5 minutes. Just for God's sake.
But I still love how they keep the continuity that that Donald's normal voice is Don Cheadle. I love they just keep running with that.
It's like, your version of normal is a '90s sitcom? How long were you in that lamp? Ages. Since the year 1990.
The year that Treasure of the
1990s.
the year that Treasure of the Lost Lamp came out.
Which is awesome.
Yep.
It's a nice illusion there, and
Oh god, that was
like
30
the
years
build-up
ago.
to-
Ugh. We're old.
I like the build up to the genie reveal too, because like I knew from the voice who it was, but they do a good job kind of lampshading it, and like the photographer is tied up in all this other stuff, and then it's like, but you're the one person that isn't a regular part of the show. So we kind of understand how it goes with this.
Yeah. Yeah, I love how like someone in the comments was all like, "I'm glad you guys caught on to this immediately," because everybody else I saw who was watching was all confused about what was going on, but you guys seemed to pick it up right away. And it's just like, yeah, because we watch a shit ton of TV. We're totally jaded by this point.
Back in the 90s, I was in a famous TV show.
I mean, I grew up with Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and all sitcoms. Like, there's sitcoms out the wazoo. So this was just like an entire episode dedicated to making fun of them. I got it from the very beginning. I loved it. Loved it.
Yep.
With that being said, I don't have anything more to say than that. It's a really, really fun episode. Moving on to episode 3 of the season, Double O Duck, and You Only Crash Twice.
Oh, this one. Yes.
This is another one of my favorites. Not my top favorite, but it was close for a while. I think this does a great job of balancing the fun of Quack Pack with plot, because this is where Fowl finally enters the picture. But the entirety of this episode is a Bond parody, and I'm a huge James Bond fan. And just seeing what they did with it and with Launchpad and bringing back the Rescue Rangers in the best possible way, there's a lot to love about this episode, but there also is kind of a lot to discuss. First thing I want to talk about before we get into anything, smart Launchpad.
I think you mean not Launchpad.
Not Launchpad.
Yes, not Launchpad.
I have a friend. His name is not Launchpad.
Not Launchpad.
He was so wonderful. I love how suave and sophisticated he is, and there is still a hope at the end that he might return, and I think that might be something that they can bring back later on. But thoughts? What do you guys think of smart, not Launchpad?
This episode was amazing. Like, I expected it to go one way, and then it went another, and it just kept piling on, and it was great. Like, I totally squealed at the Rescue Ranger part, because I figured they were going to show up. I didn't realize they were going to show up in this capacity, and not only that, but they kind of got like their whole origin rewritten as well, and it fit. So it was amazing. I was like gushing the whole entire time.
I also love how they managed to make it work in, because it's like Disney's like, you can't actually use the Rescue Rangers, and they like, okay, we're gonna use them, but we'll make it so that, you know, it's obvious that it's them, but we don't get in trouble.
It's the Rescue Dangers. Yeah, that's it.
Thanks for the rescue. And they still play like the theme music a little bit, like, instrumentals, just to kind of just to kind of tiptoe away around. Because from what I hear, legally, what they're doing is they're making a Rescue Ranger. They want to do a Rescue Rangers movie, and apparently Lonely Island is attached to the project. So. So that's so legally,
but okay.
so legally they can't say Rescue Rangers because they want to use it for another project or whatever, because otherwise, you know, conflicting universes. But the fact that they still physically showed up, even though they're not being called that, but we know it because we're older, I think it's a nice little touch. And like Smart Launchpad, they might be coming back because they did fly away.
Yeah, like there's some really interesting stuff brought up here, like the origins of the Rescue Rangers being kind of like the Secret of Nim in how they do it, which I think was interesting. I loved the idea of them thinking everything is a virtual, like a video game when it's actually happening. That was clever.
Oh, let's get to the B plot real quick with With Scrooge McDuck trying to get like all the tickets.
Oh God, Scrooge
Trying to be a ticket millionaire.
And then he realizes how much money he spent. He's
And
like,
they're worthless.
never bring me here again.
I just love he must have gave at least $3.5 million to Fowl.
Yeah, really.
Well, you see, you fund our enterprises either way, so...
They have their hands in
you have to-
everything. Or their talons, I should say.
You have to wage war against the day manager before you discover how much money that we have stolen from you over the years.
I am surprised though, since we are in Funzos, we didn't get to see Phantom Blot, but I guess maybe they're saving him for like his own episode.
Possible.
Yeah, they might be like saving him for a little bit later because they did reveal him at the end. But I like the choice of villains. I like Black Heron's finally back, and yes, I said her name correctly this time because she was actually memorable in this episode. I loved Steelbeak though. He's like an anti-Launchpad, and seeing Launchpad get smart, it like against him is just it's a lot of fun.
Oh, I want to mention real quick. I know you and Eric haven't watched this show, but Doug knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
We were looking up who the voice actor was for Steelbeak, and we discovered he was on The Good Place. He was Derek. And that to us is extremely funny because Derek is a dumbass in that show too. And it's even funnier because but it's even funnier because the head vulture for Fowl, he's the same actor that portrays Sean from The Good Place. He's like a demon. So again, it's so freaking perfect, the casting.
I've heard good things about The Good Place from Nash, so I mean, I definitely should check it out. But that's an interesting tidbit. This is probably one of my favorite episodes simply because of the Bond homages. The first like opening bit of the entire episode is just an entire like love letter to Bond, and I love how spectacularly not only does Launchpad screw it up, but Dewey has the singing voice of an angel.
Mm-hmm.
They all seem to, honestly. We've heard each of them sing like briefly, and they all knock it out of the park. I'm like honestly surprised.
Like, god damn, start a band. Start a band.
That's what Donald was doing. I mean, come on.
So yeah, this is a great plot episode. It's a lot of fun. It's funny. Probably up in my top 5 so far. But just behind a couple of episodes for me. Shall we talk about the hippie mermaids?
Let's talk about the hippie mermaids.
The Teen
Hippie
Titans.
The Lost Harp of Nirvana is not a bad episode, but it's probably my least favorite so far of this season. If
Agreed.
only because the fish hippies, the fippies,
The 50s.
are just they're so annoying. They're annoying to me. I thought it was funny. I do think it's funny that they had the voice actor of Starfire and Beast Boy as in the same color scheme.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Like there's some really funny nods to other cartoons. The harp itself, I like that was a great nod because that's what from Mickey and the Beanstalk or something like that.
No, the harp is from the original DuckTales.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Like they kind
Okay.
of they kind of reference it as like it's the way it's designed looks like the harp from Mickey and the Beanstalk, but yeah, it is actually from an episode of the old DuckTales, and it does the same thing too, where it can tell when somebody's lying.
True. I mean, I like the idea of the harp, but it did kind of get annoying with the fibbing thing. It's
They're
not a
fibbing,
bad
fibbing,
episode. I'm gonna stress this. It's not a bad episode. I like the twist. I like the idea behind it, but I'm with Scrooge on this one. Get a job, you fish hippies. I'm also with Della in.
Why is
Fish
Della
are creepy,
racist against fish?
or
That's
Piscist? She's Piscist.
Pisces.
I
Okay, that
believe.
all right. That makes sense. Okay, that works.
Yeah, because Pisces is a fish, so
Yes.
Piscist.
Places, yep.
So, like, overall, I don't think this is a bad episode. It's a good lesson, a good idea, but it doesn't advance the plot in any way, and I don't think it's enjoyable enough on its own to really write home about. I did like the interaction between Louie and Webby. I thought that was good. Especially Louie and Beakley. That's a team up I did not see coming, to be honest.
This episode actually does do something I think will be important later on, though. It sets the groundwork for, showing that Mrs. Beakley has not been truthful with Webby about her past, about Webby's past, possibly about her family. Because that she's hiding something from her, because she made reference about, how she doesn't trust people, and there's a very good reason for it. And again, this falls into the fact that we know nothing about, Beakley's past or Webby's parents or anything. So I think it's like setting the groundwork for all that, because that it's going to tie into Fowl somehow.
I can agree with that. The other thing that I really liked was the joke about Scrooge, in order to get this priceless treasure, has to give up all his material possessions, and then he decides, no, screw that, and they're like, you have found your own inner peace. And I'm like, that was funny, but Donald loving the society is probably the funniest bit to me, because he is all for it. He becomes a hippie in order for them to even finish like this episode and survive. They have to make Donald angry, and I felt so bad for Donald.
It was those like nachos you like to make? They were just okay. What?
I do think it's good therapy for Donald and good character development for Donald and Scrooge. It just, there's a lot to this episode that's just there. It's mellow, man.
I just love that the bad guy of it, the only reason he turned into a monster is because he was lazy.
Get a job, you hippie.
So the moral of the story is, get a job and don't be lazy, otherwise you'll turn into a giant fish monster. Okay.
I mean, this is something that Scrooge can get behind. I don't see any issue with this.
You can't spend your whole life just swimming.
Yeah.
Also, listen to your harp when it doesn't lie. I mean, you got his harp that doesn't tell you any lies. So listen to it.
Just keep swimming. Just keep swimming. Just keep swimming. Look at this stuff.
But don't
Isn't it neat?
But don't keep fibbing.
God.
Don't keep fibbing. Don't keep fibbing. Fibbing.
I don't have too much more to say about this one in particular. I think it's a decent episode. It's probably the only one out of this chunk that I thought was semi-weak. But overall, like, this chunk of 7 episodes is, to me, the best start of a season thus far, because I had a lot to say about the beginning of season 2. I remember when Cousin Feathery was brought in, and there was definitely a couple episodes here and there that I was just like, eh. And it was the same way with season 1, where I didn't see the point of several episodes, especially the one with the mole people. The Terrafermians.
Oh yeah, the Terrafermians. I mean, I guess that one just, I think, existed just to show off Lena's powers and her whole connection with the Magica Shadow. But yeah, overall, like, the Terrafermians never come back, so it's just a random adventure with, natives that they're probably never going to see again.
Yeah, between that and the burrito episode, which
Tomb of Tothra.
The Tothra episode is probably the weakest one of season 1 in my eyes. But here, if the weakest we have is the Lost Harp of Nirvana, which is not bad at all, I'm gonna take it. Yep. I'll take it.
Yeah.
And I'm sure, given
anyone else have...
I'm sure that given that the harp is one of the artifacts on the list, we will be coming back to this. We will be circling back to this at some point later in the season.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
That Fowl's going to try to take it.
Yeah, because we didn't see Fowl at all in this episode, so it's going to be a thing later on.
Yeah, I almost completely forgot about, like, the senior junior Woodchuck, like, thing had the lost harp, and this was a follow-up to it.
Yes.
So it does have that going for. So even then, the weakest episode of season 3 is pretty damn good. I'm looking forward to see what else they bring into it. But first of all, Kat,
Yes.
I have a heist that I'm planning.
Ooh,
I'm gonna need 11 people, and it's gonna take a lot of different manpower. But I have a plan. Are you in?
Sure, but you get 50% of the cut.
You don't
You
need
son
a
of a
plan.
bitch, I'm in.
You don't need a plan. You need a scheme.
You
I'll
son
call
of a
him in this
bitch,
game.
I'm in.
I am kind of upset that we haven't seen Glomgold thus far.
And I thought he was going to show up in this one too. Because this
Yeah.
is definitely up his alley, but I guess not.
I mean, granted, it's good that after his time in the limelight, after the last season and the finale in particular, I think it's good that they're kind of focusing a little bit away from him, because these episodes aren't worse for it. But I kind of miss Glomgold. Anyway, Louis 11, which is a parody of Ocean's 11, which I thought I saw what was coming, but I did not see what was coming. And I think the brilliance of this episode, to me, is how it goes one route, and then the heist completely falls apart. And then it changes when there's another heist.
Yeah, I did not see that coming, and I can't believe it was orchestrated by that Falcon guy, no less. Because he was like such a horrible saboteur in like the first time we saw him. The fact that he was able to covertly, pull off this heist was like really surprising and kind of impressive when you really think about it.
This episode is pretty high up there for the season for me. Still not my favorite. We'll get to it. But what I just loved about it was there's a lot of elements that I didn't see coming that were brought together. We have the 3 Caballeros coming back.
Yay.
We have Donald and Daisy coming together for the first time on this show, and it's beautiful. We have the scheme itself with Louis having this major scheme that actually falls apart, but only when he relies on his brother does it actually kind of come together. We have the second heist and the kidnapping, and then we have the fact that Mark Beaks's mother turns out to be the person that this entire heist is based around.
Like, I knew it
So
as
there's
soon as
a lot.
I saw her. I am like, wait, is that Mark Beaks? No, it can't be. All right, I don't want to be racist, so I won't say that, she's related to him or something. And it turns out she was related to him.
And even she can't stand him, which is like, I like that.
That makes sense.
There's a couple minor things off the bat. I love her tearing down Louis because she can see right through him. I think that's a really great subversion of the entire Ocean's 11 parody. I like that Daisy is the only one who can actually hear Donald's true voice, and it's really, really sweet. There's a lot of little things to this episode that really, really work. And it keeps subverting expectations. It keeps you guessing. And oh my god, the part of the episode that is my favorite. Yippee-ki-yay,
Mr. Falcon.
Mr. Falcon, because that was actually a line from the TV version of Die Hard.
Yeah, good old TBS with their censorship. Like, yeah, you're gonna take a movie like Die Hard and remove all the cursing. Yeah, let's see how well that goes. Yep, that went as well as I thought it would.
If you think that's bad, with Scott Pilgrim, they changed like ass to owl, and it's the weirdest thing.
Hoot hoot.
There's some weird censors on TV.
Oh god. Like, TBS, get over yourself.
I'm gonna kick it over to Doug. Doug, thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I was surprised, especially given, what we know of Donald and Daisy's relationship. It's like, oh my god, it's not toxic here. It's actually really sweet.
I I know
I like
the fact that she understands him like had me gushing. I'm like, oh my god, she's his soulmate. It's perfect. I ship it now.
And my voice.
I will say I was surprised. Sorry, go ahead.
I think this episode was such a cluster. It's amazing that they managed to pull it together, and it's like, oh, it's so good. Not my favorite.
There was a lot
but...
of. Yeah, it's not my favorite, but there are a lot of elements, and I didn't think initially that it would work, but it did. You were saying, Kat?
I was saying I was kind of surprised when they had him singing in like a normal voice. I mean, it's appropriate given that it's supposed to be what she hears instead. But I kept straining my ears, and I'm like, who's singing? That's not Don Cheadle, right? Like, who is that? And it's like the composer of the show who's like singing. But I just find it weird. I'm like, how many different voices is Donald gonna have now?
Well, you'll see, he is a master of the voice. See, I thought it was Andrea Bocelli because it has the same kind of timbre. But that would have been wrong because it's not quite the same. Do you have anything to add to that, Eric?
I like how with this episode there's a lot of moving parts, like a lot of different like characters are just showing up in there as part of the 11, and yet somehow it balances itself quite well. And I do love how the relationship with Daisy and Donald, and I do hope Daisy comes back in a later episode this season.
Yeah,
And
Donald deserves some
Manny
happiness.
being the... What's that?
Donald deserves some happiness.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Donald deserves happiness, but also Manny being the 11th member. Because I was
The
counting, I'm
muscle.
like, wait a second, who
I was
else
waiting
do
for
they
Glomgold.
have? I was hoping for Glomgold or for someone else, but then Manny came out, and I'm like, that kind of makes sense.
I just can't believe they had the harpy in there as the distraction.
They should have banked on that distracting yo-yo routine. It's all the rage now.
God. I can't
It's
look
so-
away.
It's so awful, but I can't look away. Oh God.
It's like
Oh,
watching
what
The Room.
have I done? Does anyone have anything else to say about this episode before we move on to the last two?
I look forward to the sequel, like Dewey's 12 or something. Dewey's
Dewey's
dozen.
Dewey's dozen.
Huey's dozen.
Let's Dewey it.
Dewey's dozen. That's what it'd be. Because
Yeah, Dewey's dozen. All right, let's move on to my favorite episode of the season, Astro Boyd.
Yeah,
and I'm
this
upset with you guys because you didn't realize that this was an Astro Boy reference.
We got that.
Yeah,
we got that.
Yep.
I didn't at first because I am dumb.
No, but this was easily the best of the first 7 episodes.
Yes.
Yeah.
They made me cry for Gyro. They made me cry for Gyro. And it's just, the writing on this is so fantastic. They set it up basically like an Astro Boy animated movie with a villain, and they explained his origins. It reminded me a lot of Cyborg 007, and it's set up...
009.
009, sorry. Cyborg 009, which is in and of itself kind of an Astro Boy homage.
I think it's the same creator.
Oh yeah, Tezuka.
I think it is,
It's
yeah.
a Tezuka creation. So yeah, you have the same theme of this creation that was created to do good, but ended up being used for evil and wants to do good. And the writing on this episode is fantastic. What got me though is the villain, who is a complete weeb, who makes his own sounds. He does the anime blah 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 blah.
Blah, 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 blah,
And
blah.
Enhance.
he has-
Enhance. It just moves the lens closer.
He
He
has
goes
an
outside
entire
and he's
wall.
like, natural light.
Natural light, my anime. He has a wall of anime posters and everything, and he's a cat, which is there's so many good anime references in this. I mean, the obvious, there's Sailor Moon and there's a few others here, But what got me this episode was the animation. Because when they have the final fight, it is so beautifully animated. For a kid's TV show to receive this level of animation is unheard of.
Yeah, the animation for this was spectacular. Just, oh, I
They
mean,
even
like,
had the anime lines and everything.
like I said in the reaction video, it's like it's never, the animation for DuckTales has never been suffered or anything like that. But in this case, they were on point. They went well above and beyond for this one.
Yeah, so like I have to give them like a lot of props for just the animation style, the ideas, like this entire premise and making Gyro into a sympathetic character. Fantastic. But also there's these little gags, like the billboard with Glom Gold's face on it.
Thank you for mentioning that. He's like,
He's
I got
big
the
in
beefy
Japan.
arms.
I think that's the only.
He's big in Japan.
I know. I think that's the only reason he's a millionaire is because he markets exclusively to like Japan and China and all that, and they don't know all the
would.
stupid shit that he pulls off in America, so they just buy his stuff.
He would do that.
He would do that. I noticed several like just off like there's obvious Japanese anime references, but like I noticed a lot of little ones. Like there's the Akira motorcycle like reference, and stuff like that. And there are points where I'm just like, oh, I can tell exactly where this was inspired from, and the way they utilize it is just fantastic. I like the characters, I like the ideas, and it doesn't feel like a ripoff. It feels like it takes these ideas and this is a work of passion. This is definitely a work of passion, and the people loved what they were doing on it. I have nothing but nice things to say about this episode.
Yeah, I especially love the fact that they even nod to like young Gyro looking like his original DuckTales counterpart.
Yeah, that was
Aw.
a nice touch.
Yeah.
And I love how like they kept lampshading it. Like, okay, not everything I create turns evil, and she's the little bulb sitting there like, really? And little bulb's the one who saved the day, and it's just like Gyro just the journey from having his creation turned into something evil, being blamed for it, and you can see how he became so jaded, actually giving Gizmo Duck the title of an employee.
Mm-hmm. He makes him a doctor, even though that's not how it works.
I even like that we
Gizmo
have
Duck
like.
Ru-
I'm sorry. Yeah. Yeah. I even
go
like
on,
that we
go
have a quick update into Boyd's home life now, living with Doofus, and how like he's actually starting to soften a little bit.
Oh no, he's attacking me with love.
I'm just surprised
I-
that we got a backstory to Boyd at all, because you think he would have been like an invention of Mark Beeks and they would have left it at that. The fact that they gave him this whole elaborate backstory and tied it into Gyro's past, no less, like that's really impressive. Like they definitely went all out on that, and like kudos to the writers.
Yeah, like they gave backstory to Gyro, they gave backstory to Boyd, and made Boyd like much more human, how he related to Huey, and I love the stuff that they did with Huey in this episode. I love the stuff that they did with Gizmo Duck in this episode. It all tied in so well to each other, while still being just this love letter to Japan in anime. And I have nothing but nice things to say. Eric, anything to add?
If the animation, if the whole animation for that fight sequence, if this is like early on, like I can't wait to see what they do for what they do in the season finale. Because there's going to be a big, fight sequence with Fowl and stuff, and just like if that animation is this good now, what's going to happen in the finale? Like it's going to be nuts. Holy crud! So
Yeah, because since they have like both Black Heron and Gandra D, working the tech and everything, they're gonna have probably like giant robots and state-of-the-art weaponry and stuff. It's gonna be insane.
Also, I look forward to Gizmo Duck and Boyd fighting side by side.
Yes.
Like
Gizmo
Iron Man
Boyd.
and War Machine.
Part of
Also-
me wonders. Oh, go on.
No, go ahead.
Part of me wonders with this partnership between Boyd and Gizmo Duck if next we're going to see more like Darkwing Duck, because we haven't seen a lot of him since last season.
Well, we definitely are, because they've shown in the poster that they're going to introduce Goslin in the new season. So obviously there's going to be a whole episode surrounding that with Darkwing. So I think it'll probably come in the next batch of episodes. You know, I don't think
Also, we
they'd
still
leave it for
got-
next season.
Also, we still got Negaduck.
True. I do look forward to see
Yeah.
whether or not he returns, because that would be interesting, because they'd have to bring Jim Cummings back.
He'll probably factor into the what you call it. Why am I drawing a blank here?
Foul.
On foul. Yeah, he'll probably factor into the foul plot at some point.
Or
Maybe
it
he'll-
could be a side thing. We don't really know at this point. We know that Fowl has been in a couple of episodes, but aside from the two that we've mentioned so far, they have not appeared as much. And I don't think that's necessarily a problem, because we got some really good episodes with Fowl, and then we have some really good standalone episodes with these characters. So I'm not complaining. I'm just wondering what they're going to do with that.
I mean, it would be interesting if they did, like, combine the two, because to my knowledge, like, from what I remember of the original Darkwing Duck, Fowl and Darkwing's entourage of villains, like, they always were, like, a separate thing. Like, he'd either be facing, like, a villain of the week, or he'd be facing an agent of Fowl. So I'm wondering if, like, if when Fowl tries to, like, pull their heist or whatever, and if they, you know, they fail or whatever, then Negaduck comes in, maybe with the other Darkwing villains, and they, like, take over or something, or they, you know, help them to get revenge, because that would be pretty cool. Like, I don't know if they'd actually go that route, but I do kind of hope they do, because that would just please the fangirl in me so much.
There's a lot that they can possibly do, but what we have so far is fantastic, and we haven't even gotten to another one of my favorite episodes. I think Astro Boyd is my top of the season, simply because it has the best animation, the best writing, the best character development. It made me cry. But out of the comedy episodes, I think the Quack Pack and the Rumble for Ragnarok are my tops, because we're going to get into the Rumble for Ragnarok, but Quack Pack is just really, really funny. And I think Double O Duck is my second favorite after Astro Boyd. But yeah, let's get into the Rumble for Ragnarok. But first of all, I just have one thing to say. His name is John Cena. You can't see me.
I like how like the snake. I love how like the snake's character build is basically based off of John Cena, pretty much.
I just love how the guy voicing him was he played freaking Tormund from Game of Thrones, one of the
Yes.
wildlings.
Yes.
So appropriate.
Let me just say that I'm so happy this episode exists, because, I mean, one thing that we keep bringing up on the Disney debate is our running gag about heel Cena. The problem is, on the Disney debate, we haven't had any wrestling to cover on the show. So it just, I've been waiting to bust out wrestling references. And we have it, you know, we talked a little bit about it with the Steven Universe Tiger Millionaire, but now we actually get to talk about wrestling, and this is a love letter to wrestling, and I love it.
It is. It really is. Like, it ties in like a whole bunch of things from just, but they also kind of go one step and instead of it just being like a straight up like. A lot of times with a lot of shows when they incorporate wrestling into their storyline, like especially if it's like a comedy, they play it off as like it's legit, like oh, they're actually fighting each other. But I love how in the age of in the age of post kayfabe, I guess you want to call it, where where we know that where we know that it's not real. They decided to go ahead and be like, yeah. Where Scrooge is like, yeah, I know I'm the bad guy, I know it, but that's how the way it goes. Like, they kind of explain a little bit the ins and outs of wrestling in a way. So, which I thought was pretty cool, interesting way to go about it. Even though the audience like just goes with it, they just kind of go with the flow. Like they're not really caring about the fate of the world. They just want to see a good match.
Because it's all about theatrics. So it's like the story's not real, but it's about rooting for the bad guy of the story. So
yes.
It's all about playing to the crowd. It's all about the rush of it. And I'm only a casual wrestling fan. I grew up in the Attitude Era of the 90s, and I know most of what I know there. Although I did catch a little bit of like CM Punk and a little bit of Daniel Bryan and a little bit of stuff before the WWE kind of screwed everyone over. But I think the thing I love about wrestling is the atmosphere of it. It's the only sport where you have to play to your audience and you interact with your audience. You can't, like, as we've seen with the pandemic, you can't play to no audience. And this episode is all about that. It's about like announcers and how like the stuff they say is weird, and like it shows the outsider perspective and the insider perspective. And when you're finally learning something, they change it, but it's okay because you just go with it. And how people like, they start as a baby face, but then they turn heel and everyone loves it. And it's just fun. It's a fun sport, and I love how they poke fun at wrestling while celebrating it. It's great. Eric, you want to go off of this?
Yeah, I love how like they go with all the different wrestling moves, and then Mrs. Beakley comes in dressed as like a freaking Viking, and just comes in with like a steel chair and just starts
Give him
going
the
to
chair. Give me a chair.
I was Captain Crash all along.
What a twist.
Like, it makes fun of the storylines, but it also celebrates it because, like, the whole thing, Louis is just like, you know what? It doesn't matter. Just be like Launchpad. Just say the first thing that comes to your mind, and he's actually good at it. And it turned out he was Captain Crash the whole time. And like,
I love how I love the whole Captain Crash thing is supposed to be like the blue blazer in a way. Like even some of the costumes are like reminiscent of like other like wrestling archetypes. Even Dewey's is based off of an old archetype, like the preppy jock, who's kind of swarmy and stuff. And
I like Strongbeard.
Part of me even wonders Strongbeard too, but part of me even wonders if Jormungand was based off of Jake the Snake, because while his design is Cena-esque, like Jake the Snake was big too.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I never thought of it that way, but now that you mention it, I mean,
and I like you have all these like different gimmicks, and it makes sense. Like there's some really cool ideas here, and this to me is just a fun concept. Roll with it. Let's go. And I love how freaking Scrooge McDuck is the heel, and he steals the belt at the end.
Yes.
You know what I find kind of weird? Like, they show Hela, the Norse goddess of death, as one of the opponents, but they call her Heka. I guess they didn't, have to call her Hel or associate it with Hel or something, but it's like, this was made by the same company that made Thor Ragnarok, and they had Hela there, and they called her Hela, so why is it a problem calling her that here? Like, everyone else goes by their regular names.
It could be like a children's TV thing where they didn't want to like bring up the word hell, because they say Valhalla, hailing from all the way from Valhalla. Like, part of me wonders if it's just a censorship thing.
Probably, which is stupid. Just.
I think
you do not disrespect the goddess of death.
I think it's a mix of censorship as well as parody, I guess you could say. You know, hella hecka, like they're trying to twist it around, but it's like, eh.
I also want to bring up that I love how Louis is such a genius. He is so much of a genius that he's able to make t-shirts saying "Stop the Pop" before he even does it.
He's just that good.
And I was like, you had those ready to go? He's like, you're my brother, I know you.
I knew exactly what angle you were going with, and I knew exactly how it was gonna go. But I mean, then again, it's also a reference to, like, I don't know if you've ever heard of Bo Dallas before.
I have, yes.
No.
Okay, well, Bo Dallas is one of those baby faces that nobody liked but me. I legitimately enjoyed him, but people didn't like him because he was too nice. Then I think after a while, like, did he go heel at all? I'm not sure. I'm trying to remember.
They started off as him like this nice guy, you know, like you need to believe, get it? Because you have to believe anyway.
Believe it.
Yes, and they made it, and they played it off and they played it straight as a face. And then
yes,
what they did, but the audience was going negative. So what they will do is, like, if they try to do something that was intended for a face but gets a negative reaction, what they'll do is, since the crowd is already booing them already, they just take that and they just make it heel. So he eventually does turn heel. So he eventually does go heel. But then after, like, he goes like on this like fits of rage and just wails on his opponents, he then just goes back to putting a smile on his face and be like, "I did it." And he's still doing like the typical heel stuff as well. But it's like, but you have to believe, and that's how it went eventually.
That's what this reminds me of with Stop the Pop. Like, this entire thing is Bo Dallas as an arc.
You know, like you could tell, like, in some shows, like where like somebody's like a WWE fan, because like even early on, even Launchpad is chanting, "This is awesome," which is what they do at these shows. So it's like, yeah, somebody's a WWE fan somewhere in the crew. So in the
You're the
team.
worst. You're the worst. You're the worst.
You now.
And again, it's like entire love letter to wrestling ideals, and I'm surprised that they didn't have like signs up saying like saying something wrestling related. But like, this is just one of my favorite side episodes. Doug, anything to add to that?
I mean, I really can't say much. Like I said in the reaction video, wrestling isn't really my wheelhouse. I'm not really into it. But, you know, I still, you know, what I know about it, and, you know, a lot of the memes and things on the internet, and for, you know, anything I've absorbed, it's like I got it enough. So I definitely enjoyed this episode. I appreciate it. But yeah, I mean, it's not like there's a whole lot to say. I do kind of enjoy the fact that they, you know, slipped in like the educational portion of it being, you know, the Valhalla and Ragnarok and what you call it, the Yggdrasil, all that. So, you know, I enjoyed that much, and I definitely laugh at a lot of the jokes and stuff. But yeah, I mean, I don't know much what else I could say. You guys really know about the wrestling portion of it. That's really all I got.
All I can say is Suplex City, bitch. Suplex City. When they're writing down all the moves, I'm just like, yep, I know that one. Surprised they didn't reference the walls of Jericho, but you know, that could have been copyrighted. Who knows?
I will say it is interesting that like Scrooge basically wants to keep up the being a villain. It's like, oh, they finally, you know, turn the tide and make the ducks the heroes, but yet Scrooge will still betray at the end. It's like that definitely says something to his character.
Also, his gimmick, "I'm the richest duck in the world." I love it.
I know, they're playing to like $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase. I just love that. I'm like, oh,
you
they're going
can't
old school.
afford it.
He's Tiger Millionaire. You
Yeah, that's what I
couldn't
said.
afford it. Kat, thoughts?
Like I said, I just enjoyed it because again, I'm a casual wrestling fan too. I know a lot of the more popular ones just through pretty much group osmosis because all the boys in my school would quote WWE incessantly, so I knew all the references and everything. But it was just fun because I enjoy the theatrics of wrestling, and I liked they had like all of the signature marks with the heel turns and everything. It was just a lot of fun, and I enjoyed, that it was actually like they actually showed personal growth for both Dewey and Huey in terms of, that it's okay not to know something. You can always go with the flow, and you don't always have to be the good guy. You can, you know, you can still stay true to yourself, but at the same time, you need to be able to adapt, and you should be able to take some of take some humility from it.
I'm
from your
bad,
flaws.
and that's good.
I will never be good, and that's not bad.
Also, I
No
love
one I'd
how
rather
Louis
be
is the
than me.
one. Louis the one giving the pep talk for this, and that's pretty cool.
That definitely speaks to his arc in season 2. It's like he's definitely grown, and it's shown.
Like you get a
He
pep
knows how to
talk
make a
from the
quick
guy
buck,
who
though.
drinks pep.
Him and his merchandising, I love it. He's just like get stop the pop shirts, and the guy's like he hits the guy in the face with his shirt, but he's still like throwing his money. This is a great one. I had a lot of fun with this. Great wrestling references. I think the only thing I can say to this episode is yes, 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 yes,
Yes.
yes,
Yes.
yes, yes. I am part of the yes movement. I support Bootios. Xavier Woods is awesome. The Shield is pretty good. I know a lot of my wrestling from Rosen, and but yeah, this is a great love letter to wrestling. Does anyone have anything to say before I just lead us into final thoughts?
I mean, I have something to say about the season as it is right now, not the specific episode.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then let's move on to our final thoughts on the season overall. What I want to say is that it is the strongest third of the season because they break them up into thirds now, which a lot of people are doing. Like, there's been some weird stuff with Doctor Who where they split it in like half, kind of, and I don't really get it. But like, there's this weird season thing. But from what we're getting right now with this third of the season, I think it's the best season third that we've had so far. This is shaping up to be my favorite season, and I think a lot of it has to do with these characters. They really utilize these characters well. They give us some really great jokes, some really great empathy and pathos, some really great moments, and just they really understand what audiences want. Doug, what were you gonna say?
So I do, yeah, I mean, definitely I agree with you that this first third or whatever they're, gonna split it up into, has been very strong, definitely with, Astro Boyd being, tops on the list. So yeah, they've already gotten off to a strong start for this season. I will say we're probably still expecting some episodes that haven't aired yet, in particularly because we have a weird thing with the production codes. One thing you might notice is that we don't have a 301, a 302, or a 305 yet. Yet somehow we have 2 episodes labeled as 303. That being Quack Pack and Double O Duck and You Only Crash Twice. And those 2 even come before Challenge of the Senior Junior Woodchucks, which kind of makes sense in a way with Double O Duck, because they don't really do anything storyline-wise, unless you count, Launchpad. But yeah, so we've probably got, a couple episodes that have not aired yet, that were supposed to air, probably like a Halloween episode. So we've still got that to look forward to.
But yeah, no, like I said, this season in general has been very strong start. I am so looking forward to it. I know we've got David Tennant in his closet recording his lines, so at least we know it's going, it's moving.
Thank God.
Yeah.
And I mean, thank God it's moving. Speaking as someone who, for the purposes of like getting a new mic and upgrading for this episode, I got an entire audio mixer so that I don't have any background noise anymore. Like, it is technically possible to record from home. I wouldn't recommend it. It's a lot of work.
Yeah, it is.
But Kat, what do you think?
Yeah, these first couple episodes have been pretty solid. I can't say that there's one that I outright hated or anything, and a couple have managed to surprise me. It's like first we get a James Bond episode, only to have Rescue Rangers thrown in, and then we have a heist episode for Daisy to get thrown in, and then we have a whole backstory for Boyd and Gyro, and it's like they keep upping the ante, and I'm like really impressed with this so far. And of course they followed up on the whole Fowl arc as well, so. Definitely, I'm looking forward to where they're going to go from here, because I know we still have more in store for us. You know, we still got to meet the characters from Tailspin. We still got to meet Goslin. We still have no idea about the Moon people, if they like went back to the moon, if they're hanging out on Earth. So there's a lot to look forward to, and these episodes have make me like real excited about it.
And Master Eric.
This is a very good, very strong start for the season, and I am looking forward to what they have in store. And yes, there's a lot of stuff from season 2 that they haven't even mentioned yet. And yes, I'm actually looking forward to the Tailspin stuff. Are they going to bring back Don Carnage and his bandits? Are they going to come back? And are we going to get like Baloo and everyone from Tailspin? Like, is there going to be a thing with that? Like, because I think I might have mentioned this in one of the live reactions. I think in like for the beginning of the season, where they were going to do something with Tailspin where like one of the like because they still have to go on that scavenger hunt for the rest of the other things, and they still haven't brought in Tailspin, so like they would bring in Tailspin because they have to go to like Cape Suzette to find one of the items that they still have to find, and they get like Baloo or somebody or whatever to travel to because they needed a guide or something like that. That's what I was thinking, like hoping that would tie in Tailspin with the bigger story arc of the scavenger hunt for the different items.
I certainly hope so. I mean, granted, Baloo's original voice actor isn't around anymore, but you know, they can easily replace him with someone just as appropriate, and I really do hope they do it, because we already saw like pictures of the other cast, you know, Rebecca and Kit and Molly, so I'm hoping they add Baloo as well, but I guess we'll have to see on that.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Now the final thing I want to do before we sign off is I want to open the floor for any predictions, because there are some things that I do want going forward and some things that I'm thinking about going forward. In terms of the stuff that I want, we already have Fowl. We already have Fowl as a presence. I want to focus on Darkwing Duck, and I want Launchpad and Mrs. Beakley to join him. And I think that would be a great like addition to bring him up as more of a hero. Because we already had a little bit with Gizmo Duck. Let's get Darkwing Duck here, build him up so that in the finale he can actually do a little bit more than he did last time. And I would also really like more with Tailspin. I would like more with Goofy. I really want to see Powerline actually make an appearance. Like, we know they exist. We know they're a thing. But I actually want to see Powerline in an episode. Kat, what are your wants, predictions, anything?
I want to know what the hell is up with Launchpad and his many girlfriends.
Yeah,
we got
so
deprived
crazy.
of that in Double O Duck.
Are we ever gonna get the backstories to some of these things?
I know, like, they keep teasing that, and they keep referencing it, and it drives me up the wall, because I want to know. It's like,
Especially because smart Launchpad could have explained it, but...
I know, because I'm wondering now, it's like, does the smart launchpad take over during that part, and that's why he doesn't, mention it that often, or what? But, yeah, like, again, I want to know more. and not only that, but I want to know if we're ever going to find out about Scrooge and his unending rivalry with Santa Claus.
Yes, tell us what did Santa do?
Because that'll probably if they decide to address it this season, that's probably going to be the Christmas episode.
Also, Glumgold returns.
Oh god, yeah.
It's always Glumgold, and it always will
be.
Doug.
Yeah,
Doug,
no,
what
I'm
are
right.
your-
I'm right there with Kat. I definitely want the Launchpad side episode. I thought we were gonna get that with Double O Duck, and it just, I mean, not that I dislike what we got, but it's like, oh, we're still teasing us about that. But yeah,
because I was expecting them to have like, oh, his secret life as a spy.
Yep.
He may not remember it, but it's a thing. But no, I don't know.
I mean, I feel like we also have to get Hush involved at some point too, given, since it is foul, we definitely have to have Hush. We definitely have to maybe have a flashback with Ludwig von Drake. I feel like, yeah, we've got to get Launchpad involved with Hush.
Well, you know they have to, if only because of Mrs. Beakley. Because she was a former shush agent, and on top of that, we know that she has some secret that she's not telling Webby about, and it probably alludes to what happened during her shush days and in regards to Fowl. So we know definitely that's going to be a thing.
Yep, and we also have to see. The other members of Fowl, because at the end of Moonvasion we saw that whole table of them show up. So it's like, yeah, we've got to get them involved in this. See how the hell Rocker Duck wound up encased in whatever he was encased in.
It looked like amber or something.
I also really want to follow up to the gummy berry juice.
I'm
Yeah,
sure that will,
too.
because that's still, that was still a thing that Webby had. So, yeah, we're definitely going to get more of that. I know we have to.
And Gandra D is going to have to face down Gizmo Duck at some point.
Eric, anything to add to that?
Apart from what I said about Glumgold, but then again, I mean, yeah, we've had a lot of Glumgold last season, but I think he's still... they're still going to use him because he's still a pretty popular character. I would like to see... I like to see the rest of Huey's character development for this season, where they're gonna where he's gonna go with this, as far as him trying to be, with him being a senior, junior, senior, sophomore Woodchuck. If he's gonna continue, trying to be the boy, try to continue being the Boy Scout or something else entirely. I'm curious to see how much more they're going to go with it. Plus, more foul stuff. Because there's a lot. Generally, there's a lot of stuff that's set up in the first couple of episodes, and I still want to see, and the rest of it is yet to be seen.
With that being said, I give all of you your failure badges. I know Launchpad has a lot of them.
Hooray!
What do we get failure badges for? We're the ones keeping up with this.
Because we have succeeded at getting this far in this series without failing.
Okay, I guess I'll accept that.
No, I wanted to reference that because I remember the failure badge. I'm like, Launchpad is a person who can fail. He has 17 failure badges.
Yeah. Failure's
yeah,
not a
with
bad
that being
thing.
said,
You learn from it.
You learn from the greatest teacher failure is. And with that, I think that's going to do it for today. This is a really great start. I want to see where we go. I'm Zenith, Warrior Princess, the cutest of buns.
I'm Kat Macberrie, the most ruthless of cats.
I'm Doug, the most Scottish of Scots.
And I'm Eric, wondering, what am I doing with all you people?
You're our prisoner now.
And,
Accept
One
it.
of us, one of
One
us.
of us. Gooba gabba, gooba gabba.
Aye.
And just remember that if you have a beard, it may give you super strength, so keep that in mind. And also, his name is John Cena. And can you smell? Can you smell what the John Cena is cooking? Have a good one, everybody.
Yeah.
Bye.
Laters.
Hey, this is Megami33. Thank you for watching Zenith Will Review. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more awesome videos. If you like what you see, check out the Patreon page at patreon.com/ZenithWillReview.